Sup everyone, we are back with more Great Ace Attorney Chronicles 2 Resolve. And this time we are going to start off the episode by looking at the one thing in this room we haven't looked at. This very lifelike replica of the great detective, Sherlock Holmes. Oh wait, Herlock Sholmes. Shit. I keep messing it up. It's the great detective, Mr. Herlock Sholmes! Mr. Sholmes has had his own wax statue in here? Really? Really? Well, he is world famous after all. It's an uncanny resemblance, isn't it? Makes my skin crawl to look at it. I know. But look, Bruno, you can kick this heli and he doesn't move a muscle. Oh my god, the jitters. This is a high-budget game. You can't go around kicking the exhibits, Iris. Wait. It just moved, I'm sure. And not just a little bit either. Really? Did it? Oh my god. And look closely. There are beads of sweat on the face of this waxwork model. Ellipses. False alarm, it's just the real thing. Shall we move on, Iris? Over there, look, there's a great murder scene to enjoy, much more appealing.
Hold it!
Hold it? What? That is the first time I've heard you have a hold it. That is... wow. That is... I was not expecting that to start off the episode, but here we are. My dear fellow, I take exception to your recoiling in such a manner, as if you've seen something truly abhorrent. Mr. Sholmes, I knew it. I mean, what a surprise. Iris, what possessed you? I strictly forbade you from divulging my temporary waxwork secret to Mr. Naruhodo. Temporary waxwork? What do you mean? And that kick, could you not have exercised a little more restraint? You winded me. But Reno has something he needs to ask you. Ah, question. And I thought you'd probably be getting bored, too. So here we are. Well, I can't deny that your timing was impeccable. A mere 2 minutes more than being stationary like that. And my great brain upon which all my success has been built would have turned to wax. Thank goodness we arrived in time. Indeed, in many ways the pair of you just saved the world from an unimaginable loss. Oh, Hurley, you do like to talk nonsense, don't you? It is what I excel at, dear Iris. You know something, it's true. About Lord Van Zykes and what happened in the past to change him. Now that you're here, let's take our time. How can I be of assistance? For your own luck, I'm suddenly quite taken with the idea of conversing. Oh, well, actually, I'm in quite a hurry. And if my eyes don't deceive me, I believe something is afoot within the walls of this very museum. A most fascinating case, if I'm not mistaken. Really? Moreover, I have a strong suspicion that is related to the matter about which you've come to me now. But how could it be? We shall speak again presently, my dear fellow. But for now I must return to my work. We're back to being a temporary waxwork exhibition? Exhibit, I mean? Not exhibition. Yeah, I got something to talk to you about, sir. No being a temporary wax figure for now. What is this place? Madame Tusples came to London from France 3 years ago, I understand. Oh good, it is night at the museum, at least he's talking. Since she opened this little waxwork museum last year, it's enjoyed great popularity in London. There are museums like this in Japan too, but these displays are something else. I mean, they aren't made from actual real people, are they? The extreme realism of these waxwork models is a particular secret of the Tuscal's family, they say. They earned renown during the French Revolution for waxworks of victims of the guillotine. Ugh, that sounds grim. And grim it was. The gruesome scenes were portrayed with such realism in the expressions of the faces of the condemned. Apparently, the sculptors would make the models directly from the corpses right after the site of the executions. Right there at the site of the executions. That really turns my stomach. Yeah, that is not a pretty thing to imagine. That's just one of several legends about the Tuscal's family. Whether there's any truth in it, I couldn't say. But anyway, this museum houses models of famous people from all over the globe. Nevertheless, the most popular area of the museum by quite some margin is this House of Horrors. House of Horrors? Of course, visitor numbers are dwindling now as a result of the Great Exhibition. But people usually flock here to see the exhibits of some of London's most vile criminals at their gruesome work. Naturally, most of the miscreants portrayed here were sent to the gallows. So they're even stiffer than the models of them. Have you heard of poor taste? My dear fellow, the public lives for poor taste. They yearn to be shocked. So, the hideous exhibits in here are... They're all portrayals of real events that actually took place. Is it just me, or did the temperature in here just suddenly seem to drop? Anyway, I advise you not to think too deeply about what you see here. Oh, he's back to being a waxwork, is he? And back out of it you go. What do you mean by a temporary waxwork, Mr. Sholmes? Exactly what you see. I'm part of the exhibits here, catching these criminals in the act. Catching them? Every half an hour, I home in on a different killer on one of the displays and adopt a new pose to ensnare him. When members of the public come for a closer look, I offer them my hand to shake. For a shilling, I'll happily allow them to take a photograph with us. Us? Does he mean him and the waxwork murderers in here? But why, Mr. Sholmes? I am poor beyond compare. My dear fellow isn't an lobbyist for the money. You really roared at me there. Very fitting for the House of Horrors. As it stands, I may struggle to pay this month's rent, and I have the ravenous Iris to consider. I'm surprised Iris doesn't pay the rent, considering all the money she gets from the adventures of Herlock Sholmes. Oh, Helly, I'm so hungry. If push comes to shove, I shall have to ask you to do your bit, Mr. Narhodo. What's he threatening to rope me into now? So, with that in mind, how about a photograph? As a special treat, you may have your pick of the murderers and scoundrels in here. The choice is yours. Maybe some other time. Remember, Mr. Narhodo, ignore me at your peril. Back to being a waxwork again. Is it just me, or did his final remark there sound a lot like a curse? I mean, he was also frowning when he said it, so probably. This is Sholmes we're talking about, after all. And my nose is really itchy. My nose is really itchy right now. Well, what is it you'd like to ask me, then? Actually, it's about Lord Van Zykes. Our friend Mr. Reaper, how did you find him? Well, I trust. Well, I trust. And then we gave him the lowdown, and a cutaway. And so I filled Mr. Sholmes in about everything I'd learnt. About Lord Van Zykes, about Professor Harebrain, and about the strange coincidence that they had been at university together. Sometimes you just got to clear your throat. So I'm wondering what it was that happened to make Lord Van Zykes such a different person. I was sure that you'd know, Helly. Ellipses. You said there was something going on here in this exhibit hall before. That something was afoot. And that you believed it was related to what I wanted to ask you about. The somber, silent Sholmes that knows stuff. Mr. Sholmes? He suddenly clammed up. I bet you he's actually, like, really distraught, and then he's gonna, like, flip it to be like, oh, I'm actually just trying out a new wax figure pose. Oh, never mind. Well, it seems we've reached the unavoidable. Greetings. Who? Who are you? Oh, hello? Where does she appear from? This is a new theme. Let's come up with, like, a witch-type voice or wizard or something, I don't know. And what's she wearing? Could she look any more mysterious? Ooh, the single visible eye. Nice. I hope you are appreciating my museum. Sorry, have we... Mr. Sholmes, do you know this? Not again. My apologies, I am Esmeralda Tuspels. This is my museum of waxwork. What? You're the Madame Tuspels? Oh, right, French. Bien sûr. Though only 26 years young, I might add. Is that significant somehow? I am a madame in name only. It adds a certain je ne sais quoi. I think I said that right. I'm sorry, I did not take French in high school. I took sign language, which is something that I cannot show. Right. Firstly, I must apologize for my waxworks, or rather one waxwork in particular. That'll be Mr. Sholmes, then. I was led to believe he was a great detective, but he seems unable to settle. Next time you move from your designated exhibit, there will be toil and trouble. Is that a freaking cauldron of, like, molten something? That is very threatening. Man, I'd be more surprised if you weren't a murderer if you have that on hand. That's a perfect way to get rid of evidence. Oh my god! I never get tired of Sholmes. She sounds deadly serious. That's a problem. How am I supposed to ask Mr. Sholmes about Lord Van Zykes now? Yeah, we were so close. Let's not forget what Hurley said before. About something being afoot. Right here in the museum, I mean. Yes, I know, but... I'm so curious. I want to know what's happening here. Haven't we got enough on our plate already? Okay. No, let's do the same thing we always do. Madame, there's something I'd like to show you. Yes, what is it? I remarked on it to myself immediately, and I've been curious since. Ah, well, it's actually the mark of a defense lawyer in the Empire of Japan. Oh, quel dommage. Not quite as interesting as I'd hoped. What exactly were you expecting from an armband? Yep. I don't know if we're gonna get anything more, so let's just get to work on talking, shall we? Did you make all these waxworks, Madame Tuspels? Madame Tuspels? I did. I am the third generation of waxwork artisans, you know. Gosh. It was my grandmother who began the tradition in my family. I sound more Russian than French. Oui, I don't know. Her fortunes were chacquered. I don't know. Chacquered. Living through the turbulent times of the French Revolution as she did. Though that is when she acquired the savoir-faire. that leads to the astonishing likeness. Man, I apologize to anyone that's French that watches this video. Oh my god, I am butchering this. All these waxworks really do look as though they're alive. In fact, they look more alive than Hurley. What you see exhibited here represents the most atrocious of London's criminal past. Although waxworks were created in the presence of real people on which they are modelled. In the hours immediately following their executions, that is the secret to the extraordinary lifelikeliness. That sounds terrifying. All walks of life have similar challenges, I'm sure. To carry out one's trade par excellence, one must go to extraordinary lengths. My exhibits are a reflection of society. I create only that which the public wishes to see. Discord presides in society. Why couldn't the public have wished for something less horrifying? Do not fear. Sorry? This room is the only one in the museum with such a macabre theme. I do hope you'll explore. There are models of famous singers, actors, politicians. Something for every taste, I hope. It was Iris who dragged me straight in here. Come to think of it. Sorry, perhaps I should have eased you into things. The Great Detective Waxwork. First off, actually, do we have her profile? No, that's not what I want to do. People. Let's check the... We haven't... Oh, right, we actually haven't checked the... We haven't checked the age of a lot of people here. Odie Asman was 47. Parrish in the... Okay, 33. Oh, wait, yeah. Wow, they're literally the same age. Hard to tell considering the sheer height difference between them. Masked Man. Great name he got there. Gina's 18 now. I'm pretty sure she was 17 before, so I guess she had her birthday at some point. 45 and 26. Huh. Sounds about right. She definitely looks like she's in her 20s. What's the situation with that? Ah, my temporary waxwork model. Model. I don't know. He approached me some days ago, you see, with a business proposal. Oh, what sort of proposal? My dear madame, what these sparse exhibits need is the addition of a world-famous great detective. Oh, words to that effect. Naturally, I am well aware that Mr. Sholmes is widely known in London as a talented detective. It's great detective, actually. He's very specific about it. That I am... Hush, no talking, wax figure standing. Sorry, madame. Yes, the creme de la creme. So I was keen to come to some arrangement with them, of course. But sadly, we were unable to agree terms. Let me guess, someone wanted to charge an exorbitant price for her services. For a mere £500, I will dive into your cauldron of wax this very moment. Of course you would. Oh, it's to that effect. Mr. Sholmes might have overdone it slightly with the sales pitch. Regrettably, the museum has a shortage of funds at the moment due to unforeseen circumstances. So we came to the current arrangement instead. Surely he doesn't really need to do what he's doing, though, does he? I would think not, but he was very insistent. I have a 50-shilling problem that must be resolved by the morning. Oh, what's to that effect? It's the pawnbroker, that's what it is. He must have something to redeem. Is a consulting detective work not going so well? You would think he... You would think he, like, almost has something to do always, so you wouldn't think that he would be so strung up for money. But I guess that's not always the case. Even if you have a lot of work, that doesn't necessarily mean it all pays super well. I wonder, could I ask you something? Yeah, sure. I'm just curious, is anything going on in the museum at the moment? Some kind of incident, perhaps? Oh no, she's doing the same thing that Sholmes does by lowering her head in order so we can't see her eyes. Whoever suggested such a thing to you? Oh well, it was... I knew it. I knew he'd be gone. Your temporary waxwork over there who mentioned it to me a little... Oh, he's disappeared. Wax model is a... I can't tell if that's Sholmes. Oh, I'm gonna pretend it's Sholmes. A wax model is a work of art, not some tawdry object for trade. Ah, okay, it was. There you are. I thought he ran because we were about to bring him up, and he just, like, skedaddled. Leaving the exhibit again when you should be working? Do you wish to be melted down? My dear Madame Tusples, save your reprimands. There are more pressing concerns. The wax can wait. It's our ideas about your current problem we must throw into the melting pot instead. Oh? Personally, I would advise you not to involve the police. You know, I do realize that this room does look like the type of place where we could end up doing a whatchamacallit, great deduction. Why ever not? She's turned as white as a sheet. Because you have at your disposal a great detective whose services you may employ for a mere 50 shillings. No, please be aware that I prefer. No, I insist upon payment in advance. What is this fool up to? Very well. Let us see if the great detective is able to live up to his name, shall we? Before I engage my analytical processes, I must ask you to clarify something. What, pray, is behind the curtain? That is the Tuspel special exhibit. There is an extra charge to see it. Ah, the special exhibit in the House of Horrors. It must depict a special killer, then, I presume. Man, she looks extremely pissed there. Would you be so kind as to draw back the curtain, I wonder? Absolutely none. There is nothing amiss behind there. Nothing amiss, madame. What about the arm protruding ominously from under the curtain? Ah! I strongly encourage you to allow me to see what lies beyond, before the situation worsens. Yes, very well. I will draw back the curtains, but only a soup cone. I don't know what that means, but let's see what it is. That doesn't look like a wax figure. I wouldn't say, at least. Maybe I'm wrong. There's nothing? I must confess I peeked behind the curtain earlier. The Tuspel special exhibit is a very bleak graveyard. Scene indeed. Sorry, I had to look at something else for a second. And yet, somewhat surprisingly, the waxwork killer would only expect... The waxwork killer one would expect is nowhere to be seen. What does strike one, however... Holy shit! Is the portly gentleman lying peacefully on his back on the floor. That's... Fuck, what's his name? Bro, he was the first ever foreman of the jury. Back in case 3. What? Is he dead? I did not expect a frickin'... I did not expect a juror we've seen to come back not only as someone in a case, but also come up as a victim. That is, oh man. Holy shit. Well then perhaps, Mr. Oh, sorry. Well then, perhaps, Mr. Sholmes, that man on the floor is the ruthless killer himself. Ryunosuke, do you not remember this man? I mean, I know it was literally your first case. I'm afraid not, my dear fellow. He's a perfectly ordinary London gentleman. Not even a waxwork, in fact. Do you not... Ryunosuke, I know it was your first case, and it was a long time ago at this point. Well, second case, if you count the one in Japan. But you would think you would remember one of the members of the jury from back then. What? As skillfully made as these waxworks are, they are indeed always distinguishable from real humans. So allow me to present my two conclusions. The first is that a sizable business transaction has been taking place in this special exhibit. Why would you say that? And the second is that the aforementioned transaction is linked to a serious crime. Ah! She looks as pale as candle wax. I don't understand. So, Madame Tuswells, as you've agreed to my fee, you shall now have the pleasure of seeing this famously great detective and temporary exhibit at work. Here it goes. The Great Deduction. The game is afoot. Topic 1. Waxwork's fate. God, this pose keeps getting me. To begin with, we must ask ourselves what exactly is afoot here in this museum. The answer is revealed by the bundle of banknotes protruding so helplessly from your bag. In my estimation, some £200. That is all my own money. So what does this large sum of money reveal? Not as much as the involuntary glance you cast, it would seem, Madame Tuswells. Yes, the answer lies where your eyes now fall. The significance of the £200 is revealed by that public notice. Waxwork for sale? Your business has hit hard times, it would seem. In short, you sold the infamous killer, the centerpiece of your special exhibit, for the sum of £200. None. Now let us explore the next curiosity with which we are presented. Who is this portly gentleman stretched out so peacefully on the floor? His body looks fresh, at least. I don't think he's been there for a while. We don't even know his name, we just knew him as a juror. It would appear the man has suffered a severe shock, the cause of which is clearly known to you. Ah! Unfortunately, madame, keeping secrets does not appear to be your forte. What dealt the man with such a shocking blow is, of course, the £200. It would appear that you twisted this gentleman around your little finger most efficiently. What are you suggesting? He rashly agreed to purchase the waxwork for the sum of £200. Only when he came to hand the money over did it occur to him what an extortionate amount he was paying. But the money was no longer in his hands. And the result, the scene we see before us, he collapsed in shock. Somehow I doubt that, but whatever, go off, Ken. Yes, the killer in the special exhibit fetched a killer price. We can only pray that the gentleman's dreams are not plagued with regret. So you think he's just passed out, is that it? Sold for cash. Whatever you say. Waxwork location. Oh, right. Sorry, I was getting a sip of water. The question that arises then is what has become of the waxwork that changed hands? Let us consider the problem for a moment.
You cannot possibly...
What immediately strikes me about this conundrum is the young man standing over there. Who is this fellow? To find the answer, we need only observe his neckerchief. Isn't that called like an ascot or something? I only know because of Fred from Scooby-Doo. Such as is worn by policemen as a secret sign to fellow members of the force that a crime is being perpetrated. Yes, this young man is an undercover policeman, currently investigating this museum. Somehow I don't know about that. I know him well, in fact. It's Sergeant John Clay.
What are you talking about?
The man's quite a celebrity. He recently received triple accolades at last year's policing awards.
But...
Next, we turn our attention to the old man sat before him with a particularly unsightful visage. I've been watching closely and he hasn't moved a muscle, almost in fact, as if he were waxwork.
But you...
Your reaction only confirms my suspicions, madam. I think that dude's... Wait, no, he does have a... He has a tag on his scarf, though. I noticed it at once, of course. Observe. Oh, they're actually pointing that out. The tail tie sign that instantly proves whether or not this old man is a waxwork is the obvious price tag. I don't know. It's hard to tell. The Lana scarf just makes me think he's related to Pat and Roy. Threepence, a tragically low price, you might add. Though perhaps the going rate for aging and waxworks riddled with cracks. And yet you sold it to the portly gentleman for an exorbitant £200. The sort of plucky behaviour that's sure to attract the attention of Scotland Yard. Isn't that so, madame?
I do not...
Yes, the waxwork you sold has already been seized by the police and remains in their custody as we speak. The old man must be reunited with his grave in the special exhibit, and not a moment too soon. Conclusion. Discovered already. Somehow I doubt that. Thus concludes Sherlock Sholmes' great deduction of this horrifying puzzle. I don't think this is even the start of how horrifying this is. The fact that there's no sounds but the frickin' bubbling of that molten lava or whatever. Molten steel, maybe? I don't know. But the fact that that's the only sound really just adds a lot to how threatening she is trying to be to Sholmes. I see I've stunned you all into silence.
You have, Hurley, you have. And you have obviously upset this young lady in the process. Her cauldron looks awfully hot.
If I could just bring up one point, Mr. Sholmes. Ah, the notorious Naruhodo 1 point. I'm all ears, my dear fellow. According to your deduction, then, the special exhibit features this old policeman. So, that would mean that he's the particularly ruthless murderer, wouldn't it? The killer policeman, Automole. Sorry? It was a mysterious series of murders that rattled the capital only last year. The police rushed to the scene every time, only to find the culprit had disappeared into the ether.
And it turned out the culprit was a policeman himself, a senior officer by the name of Automole.
So you mean that's who the sinister-looking old man there is supposed to be? Indeed, it is a particularly grim face, is it not? Unforgettable, in fact. Yes, I remember that
that odious countenance too well. Only too well. But is 200 pounds a lot of money for a wax model? Would be enough to afford one of the latest steam carriages, if that puts things in perspective. So, it is quite a lot, then. Is there anything else you wish to add? Before I melt you down. The bubbling wax is looking more and more ominous. The smell of all that molten wax is starting to worry me. Mr. Sholmes did more or less just accuse her to her face, so... I think I might have to call on your assistance here, Iris, if that's alright. To make some minor corrections to the great detective's great deductions. Of course it's alright. We'll soon set things straight. Well, let's get started then, shall we? Before Madame Tusples vents her anger. Just what I was waiting to hear, my dear fellow. So, Madame Tusples, in accordance with our agreement... Yada 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 yada. Course correction. Hold it, Mr. Sholmes. Let's start this up, shall we? Time to skip forward through all of this dialogue right here. Yada yada yada. Public notice. Cringe. She definitely looked in this direction, it's true. But I'm not sure she'd sell any of her waxworks even for 200 pounds. Oh? She must pour her heart and soul into making them, don't you think? Over and above the wax. If it were me, I wouldn't sell them for anything. For that much money, I would. But it sounds like that makes me a bad person. Let me save. I want to do all the funnies, as I always do. Though obviously we're not going to be doing too much since we're almost at the end of this episode. Well, anyway. I wonder if the 200 pounds could have some other significance. Let's follow that furtive glance again and see if there's anything else that could explain it. Well, I think it's pretty obvious what it is, but let's see... Man, cursor kind of do be kind of moving slow. Though I guess I can just do the taps here. The portly man. Public notice. Waxwork for sale. Would anyone really buy models of mass murderers? I think I'd rather have 200 pounds in my pocket. Exactly. You could buy one of those brand new types of steam carriages. That's what I'd spend it on if I had it. No question. Ooh, I'd buy all the herbs in the world. Must be another explanation for the money. We need to keep looking. Well, let's present this for the funny. Oh man, I forgot I had this outfit on him. I remember it all too well myself, that feeling the day after the elation and excitement of the festival. The bitter resentment of spending far too much money on some shabby toy when I was swept up in the mood. Which is exactly how this gentleman felt as he realized that 200 pounds was excessive for a waxwork. Mr. Naruhodo, with that answer, you haven't righted my reasoning in any way. Oh yeah, that's true. Yep. This is the same as it was in case 2. Okay. Yep. Oh wait, we do get unique dialogue here though, I think. Judging by appearances, this man and the 200 pounds are in no way related at all. Poor man was just in the wrong place at the wrong time, it seems. But there's no doubt that Madame Tusples did react to what Sholmes said. The way she automatically looked over this way must tell us something, I'm sure. Then let's have more of a look around. Alright. Big man. Seems this well-dressed gentleman is alive after all, just not alive and kicking. Oh, so he isn't dead, that's good. He's not a waxwork or a model of a mass murderer. I'm not sure I'd pay 200 pounds for him. I don't think the man's up for sale. Well, anyway, it was a silly place to put him. Other museum visitors could easily trip. I don't think the man was put there on purpose either. You never know.
Take that!
Let's present him. This gentleman on the floor must know the significance of the 200 pounds. All we need to do is wake him and we'll have our answer, with no need to deduce anything. Shirking of that nature will hasten the end of the world, Mr. Naruhodo. I just realized the frickin' thing sitting on Naruhodo's shoulder. Good lord. I don't know. I just didn't realize it, I guess. The end of the world? And there is a distinct possibility the man has no knowledge of the money anyway. So do you cause the destruction of our planet? Or continue with the deduction process? The choice is yours. Looks like I'd better get back to saving the world then. Alright. Skipping ahead. Dun 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 dun. Alright, I'm gonna reload. Be right back.
Alright. Here we go. Note on the wall. What's that note doing pinned on the wall there? Oh yes, let's see. Dear Madame Tuswells.
We've taken the prisoner from this room. The price for his safe return is 200 pounds. Have the money ready by noon on 23rd October. What? This is just like the sort of thing that's left behind when someone is kidnapped. Yes, it's a ransom note. Exactly. Oh shoot. Wait. Oh crap, that means I need to load back and see what the funny is. As cool, as interesting as a ransom note is, I'm here for the funnies first.
Take that!
The plot does not take precedent because I can just time travel. This looks very suspicious to me. And that's why I'm sure that it's the answer we've been looking for. Okay, never mind. That actually wasn't that funny. Whoopsies. Alright. Now we get the right answer. The significance of the 200 pounds is revealed by the ransom note. Quite so, and we must congratulate these criminals on their inventiveness abducting a waxwork. 200 pounds is no small ransom fee, yet you clearly intend to pay it. The model in question has special importance, so I put together all the money I have. In summary, then, the 200 pounds you have in your handbag is ransom money. Now let us explore the next curiosity with which we are presented. Who is this portly gentleman? Alright. This is all stuff we've already seen. So, if the waxwork was kidnapped, where does that leave us in terms of who this man is? We could just ask him when he comes around. Rinosuke, it's still funny that you haven't recognized this dude. I think the point of this exercise is to understand the beauty of the deduction process, Iris. Yes, you're right. Hurley's trying so hard, we mustn't let him down. Well, there's a little doubt that he suffered a shock. That much seems clear. But in that case, what's Madame Tuswells trying to hide? Let's have a closer look around. Next time on Great Ace Attorney Chronicles 2. We'll try to finish up the entire rest of this deduction and see where it leads us. Adios, ciao, and bye-bye. Signing off until next time. Ja, mata ne.